It has been 365 days since many restaurants were forced to close, to pivot, or ... question mark. Oh, I guess I wasn't supposed to read that. I was just supposed to use that for emphasis. What ifs? What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Fervent Four. Chris, this point is for you. Did you know that only 4% of businesses ever cross the annual $1 million revenue mark? He didn't know that until I told him yesterday. I'm Zack Miller, author of Anomaly. With me today, I have my co-host, Tim Ryan, lead man at StartWheel.org. Thank you so much for joining us. The Fervent Four is a weekly show each and every Thursday at 11 a.m. dedicated to sharing insights into growing a world-class business, no matter the climate. You would think after 50 episodes of this, I would have that memorized, but I still have to read it. Chef Chris Hill rejoins the Fervent Four Show as the first two-time guest. Two-time guest. Chris, welcome back. I have a big question to ask. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Is Alabama going to the ship in basketball?
I think we are. And I was looking at the betting favorites. If I was betting on this game, I would absolutely take Alabama.
Well, there's four more games
over anyone else. I know we have to go through Gonzaga, but yep, absolutely.
Okay. So Alabama will face who in the national championship game for the 2021 NCAA Men's National Championship in basketball?
I think being all SEC, we're going to see Arkansas in there.
Oh God, here it is. Tim, what are you thinking?
I don't know. It's such a crazy year. I mean, it's just bananas. I don't even have a bracket. So.
Yeah, I thought I do agree that Alabama is probably going to get there. I think Gonzaga's pretty overrated, even though they haven't lost. Baylor.
And they got a lot of pressure on them too. I mean, to go for a perfect season, that's a lot.
Yeah, I mean that's hard, right? I thought it was going to be Alabama and West Virginia. I really did. And Alabama or West Virginia decided to just disappoint the entire Mountaineer Nation.
So yeah, Alabama could be the first team since I was Florida, maybe back in 2004, whenever it was, to win.
The 7-8 years when they were both.
We'll win both football and basketball. So it'd be a cool piece to see.
Especially a team that cheats as much as Alabama does. Okay, so we had you on about this time a year ago. We were really starting to get into the earliness of COVID, coronavirus. At that point, I think we all thought there was going to be 17 more names because, it seemed like every day they were coming out with a new name of what COVID was. But I think at this point, stuff was closing, right? We were going into the shutdowns. It was, no one knew anything. Numbers went from basically zero to thousands overnight. Professional sports were closed, restaurants were closed. And I think we talked a lot about it, just, pivots and carry out and delivery and, get on your Grubhubs and the DoorDashes of the world. It's been a year though now, Chris. What's the state of the restaurant world at this point, would you say?
Well, I definitely feel that the future is bright. The projections are, so around the end of 2019, restaurant sales were around $900 billion. They're projecting sales in 2023 to be $1.3 trillion. So that's, 20%, at least 25% of an increase over the next 2 years. So that's a good sign. I think obviously
where are those numbers from?
Just different projections from the National Restaurant Association.
Is the 20% because they think that they're going to have to charge more for stuff, or just they think that people are going to be spending more? How did they get to that 20% increase? And that was from 19, not 20, right?
That was from 19, yeah. So like the last full year of sales, projection from there. So, well, there's been obviously a shift in consumer behavior, the way that we consume. I'm sure you guys have changed the way if you get food that you don't cook at home, consume it. So a lot more delivery. That's been up I think 15% for the average restaurant, but that's not including places that obviously focus wholeheartedly on delivery. So a lot more delivery, a lot more third-party apps. in 2019, 40% of people, I think it was 42% of people were purchasing their food online. At the end of last year, it was around 80%. So that's doubled. So this is essentially made things happen a lot faster than it would have otherwise, technology-wise. So I think those numbers are looking at people creating new habits of dining in, maybe being lazy, being at home.
Well, they're forced to eat at home, I guess, in that case, right? Yeah.
Right. But then you also have to ask, well, with delivery numbers, are delivery numbers going to stay that way, or are people, once all this is done, going to want to go back to hanging out in restaurants with their friends? I know that'll be me. So I think there'll be a lot of almost celebration type situations where people get together with their friends and their families for the first time. And I think around here, with the summer coming up, I'm right here at Virginia Beach, and I think they're obviously timing this vaccine to try and push it out as fast as they can to get full essentially immunity around here. I think it's going to be a huge boom, and I think we all know that this whole industry around here probably wouldn't have made it without the vaccine this year. So a lot of interesting things going on. I'm curious for you guys. I mean, how is the way you guys consume food? Zack, I know you're a big Burger King fan. How have you guys consumed food? Going into restaurants or not, or ordering from apps, or maybe you're calling on the phone? How have you guys in the last year shifted the way you interact with your food purchases, through a restaurant?
This guy becomes a 2-time guest on the show, and he thinks he can start asking us questions. Tim, how dare him?
Yeah, at least from my point of view, Chris. I mean, we do a lot. There's nothing more convenient than firing up the app. We place our order, and then we swing by and pick it up. I mean, that seems to be our go-to. So,
and Tim, just curious. I think I know the answer to this, but maybe not. Why do you choose to pick it up instead of deliver it?
Driving doesn't bother me. Save a couple bucks, I guess. Not having to pay the service charge, and I think that it's also more. The restaurants make more money on their end too, because if I understand right, a lot of the restaurants, they give most of their profit margin gets sucked out if they're with the Grubhub or delivery fee.
Yeah, for sure. And that's one of the things that a lot of independent restaurants are now pushing for is let's all band together and do the delivery in-house if we can, so we don't have to lose 30% of the top. But to my point, which I was asking you, why do you choose to pick it up? I think a lot of us also are stuck in our house all day, so I can get out for 30 minutes.
Yeah. That's certainly, as you mentioned, that's certainly super valid. I mean, if I've been in the house all day, then to get out to go pick up a pizza or something like that, it's I don't mind it at all.
Breath of fresh air, literally, right? I mean,
for real.
So in my case, what's interesting is my wife and I kind of create a thing where we only eat out once a week, where I think that number might have been higher before. And I think maybe at first it was, well, we don't know what should or shouldn't, the contamination aspect of it, I guess, was a little unknown at that point. I think people, because when it all started, it was like, it's if you touch something, it could be there for 14 years, and then now it seems like that's fake news, where it doesn't. That's you never know what that really means from a touching perspective. It seems like it needs to be more airborne, where it actually has to be face to face. But
Chris, is there like burnout that the restaurants are facing, or have they loosened up some of the restrictions? So like slowly. Actual bottles of ketchup are coming out as opposed to little plastic cups. And
that's a good point. Because like the barbecue joint that had the barbecue thing on the table, like
right.
that's not allowed anymore, I would assume.
And some places is back out again. So what's the deal with that?
Well, and I mean, from like a food safety standpoint, I help people take the course and pass the test for the serve safety and food safety, and that's the whole barbecue sauce out on the table really shouldn't exist in the first place.
Really?
Because if you leave it out once you open a bottle of ketchup, what does it say on the side? Refrigerate after opening, right? If you're making your barbecue sauce in the house or you're opening a bottle, either way, you're gonna be, once it's open, it's gonna be potentially contaminated with whatever. And then just, this is me kind of on my high horse, talking. When you think about, all right, I sit down at the table, I might touch the table, I might touch like the seat where I'm sitting. I'm gonna grab the menu. The menu's gonna be dirty. I'm gonna grab the salt and pepper shakers.
God, I need to stop listening. Oh God.
So there's a lot of ways that bottle of ketchup can be contaminated, and if it sits out and festers, and then most restaurants too do what you call your marrying, right? So you take one ketchup bottle, oh, this one's almost done. We'll top off the other with this one, and then we'll get a new one for the other table. So there's a lot of ways to get contaminated. But to your point, Tim, I do think that we'll continue to see little ramekins and things like that versus mini the bottles going out, which I like that anyway. I think it's better from a food safety standpoint. I think it's kind of a better look anyway.
Do you think that? I mean, ketchup is probably fairly cheap, by the way, but do you think that something like a ketchup in a ramekin or in a packet is actually a cheaper thing for the restaurant from a savings perspective, where before it would have gone out on the table, where now you're like, oh, give me.
Yeah. For sure. It's kind of like when you, like in food service or any fill in the blank service, if you go pick up a big industrial size bottle of Windex, let's say, and then instead of having, you might have the equivalent of 12 bottles. Instead of having those 12 bottles, you have one big bottle, and then you divvy it out. So it's absolutely cheaper. You're also in control a lot more how much each consuming. So you kind of account for the costs that are associated with it.
So just to answer the end of your other question too. So I went from going to the grocery store 5 to 7 days a week to maybe once a week now. And that was strictly because I didn't want to be around people, right? I went to the grocery store yesterday. You just see certain people and you're just like, yo, you could be the one. I don't want to be around you, right? And because there are people that are being careless, I think, in places. And I just was like, screw it. I'm going to go to, I'll go to the grocery store once a week. And actually, at some point, I started using kind of like the carryout app for grocery stores.
Are you stuck at your home office, socially distanced coffee shop, or your fancy all bricked out corner office, wondering why no one can see your business and sales are all over the place? Sounds like you need a pro. That's why I developed the Anomaly Academy. Insert clever copy here. Oh, I guess I was supposed to put something else there. Oops. You can grab access to the Anomaly Academy now at ZackMillerSays.com/Anomaly Academy.